Good morning, everyone. This was a big week for us here at Forbes. We launched our annual Forbes 400 list, and we held our Under 30 Summit. Let's talk a bit about both. Welcome to the 37th year of the Forbes 400, the definitive ranking of America's richest people. For the first time ever, Forbes 400 members are being ranked not just on their total wealth and how self-made they are, but also on their generosity. This year is a big one because for the first time since 1994, Bill Gates isn't number one. He's been replaced at the top by Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos, who is also the first person to appear in the ranks with a fortune of more than $100 billion. He actually clocked in at an astonishing $160 billion. Even wilder yet, Bezos made $78.5 billion of his fortune in just the past year. It puts the recently announced $15 an hour minimum wage for Amazon employees in perspective, right? So pretty much everything to do with the Forbes 400 we talk about in terms of billions. So bear with me as I go through some of the incredible stats our wealth team put together. The top 10 richest people on the list are worth nearly $730 billion combined, which is up from $610 billion in 2017. To be a part of the club, you have to have a net worth of at least $2.1 billion. Casual, right? What that means is that more than a third of the nation's billionaires didn't even make the list. To find out more about this year's list, check out hashtag Forbes400 across social media. In the decade since its founding, Airbnb has become more than just a startup. It's even turned into a verb. Their massive success comes with some similarly massive numbers, most notably a $31 billion valuation. But with all of that money comes a unique challenge. How can Airbnb justify a valuation that's higher than Expedia, Hilton, or American Airlines? In one of our Forbes 400 cover stories, co-founder and CEO Brian Chesky explains how he's trying to position Airbnb as a company focused not only on financial results, but is also beholden to other stakeholders like guests, hosts, employees, and cities. Much of the Forbes team was on the ground this week in Boston for our annual Under 30 Summit, a gathering of over 7,000 of the world's brightest young leaders. It's a massive event with 6 content stages, music and food festivals, and tons of networking. Here's some of the highlights. The Boston Police Department announced on stage yesterday that they'll use Mark 43's RMS technology for police report writing capabilities, as well as to manage investigative cases, physical property, evidence, and more. When we profiled the company's founder Scott Crouch in Forbes back in 2016, it was a part of our Next Billion Dollar Startups feature. Crouch, a member of the 2015 30 Under 30 list, said he saw a turning point where departments are ready to embrace something new to help efficiency. Steve Case announced the rise of top 10 tech cities in the US. Case has been focused on fueling startups in underserved cities since 2014, and this research is a part of the journey to, as he says, quote, level the playing field so everybody, everywhere, who has an idea has a shot at building the company and the American dream. Number 1 on the list, Columbus, Ohio. The state capital scored highly for its college presence, low costs of business and living, increase in VC deals, and the high number of funds launched since 2013. Senator Jeff Flake joined our Chief Content Officer, Randall Lane, on stage to discuss the Kavanaugh controversy. He explained his decision to call for an FBI investigation, saying, quote, we ought to have more information, not less. As the conversation took place, the White House released a statement saying that it wants the FBI to interview anyone it wants in the Kavanaugh investigation. With 6 stages, all filled with great speakers and conversations, I can't recap them all for you, but a few notable conversations stuck out that are worth mentioning. Anthony Scaramucci talked politics and gave some advice to the audience. Quote, don't put your ego and pride into things you do. Christopher Wiley, former director of research at Cambridge Analytica, spoke about how the public can arm themselves against psychological influence tactics, like the ones used to try to sway the 2016 US presidential election. In information warfare, he said, quote, it's fair game to deceive, undermine, exploit, manipulate, and coerce. Speaking of the 2016 election, former Secretary of State John Kerry took the stage for a bracingly honest conversation about what happens when people don't show up to vote. His message, quote, we desperately need you to be citizens and to be engaged. One question he didn't answer, if he was preparing for a 2020 presidential bid. Thanks for joining us for this special kind of episode. We'll be back to regularly scheduled programming next week.